Good morning, and here's what's happening today. A possible suspect has been identified in connection with a shooting over the weekend. Amarillo police say they were called out early Saturday morning to Fox's on West 3rd. When officers first arrived on the scene, they were not able to find victims or signs of a shooting. They were then sent to the hospital where 3 victims were being treated for non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. They're identified as 17-year-old Samaj Dora, 23-year-old Sherrard Oliver, and 37-year-old Jerry Hill. No arrests have been made. A judge is considering today whether to stay John Ballantyne's execution. The Amarillo Globe News reports the attorneys for Texas death row inmate John Ballantyne tried a third time Monday to stop the execution. Ballantyne is scheduled to be executed August 22nd. He killed 3 people in Amarillo in 1998 and was put on death row the following year. Good morning, and here's what's happening today. Jared Lee Loughner will not be facing the death penalty. He's pleaded guilty to going on a rampage in Tucson, Arizona that left 6 dead and wounded, then Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords and 12 others. Loughner's plea allows him to avoid the death penalty. A federal judge had found that Loughner was mentally unfit to stand trial. He ruled Tuesday that months of forcibly medicating him to treat his schizophrenia made him competent to understand the gravity of the charges against him and assist in his own defense. Loughner is expected to be sentenced to life in prison without parole. Sikhs continue to mourn today for victims of Sunday's temple shooting in Wisconsin. For a third straight night, mourners and supporters held a vigil for the victims. A wake and visitation for the victims are scheduled Friday morning. Tuesday, a group of dignitaries and relatives from Sikh communities in India arrived in Chicago for a wedding this week. Now they'll also pay their respects in Oak Creek. President Obama is heading to the battleground state of Colorado today. He's promoting his economic plan. The president won the state in 2008, but he has more work to do if he hopes to win it again. The poll shows Mitt Romney with a 5-point lead in the Rocky Mountain state. There's better news for the president in Virginia, where he has a 4-point lead. In Wisconsin, the president's up by 6. The majority of voters say the economy is their #1 issue. Residents of a San Francisco suburb are angry today. Hundreds of residents at a community meeting booed and shouted at officials from Chevron and the Bay Area town where a refinery fire blanketed the region in acrid smoke a day ago. Emotions ran high at the meeting, which ended with police officers lining the stage as speakers left. The Monday fire sent residents scrambling indoors and hundreds flooded hospitals with health complaints. NASA continues to explore Mars today. They've unveiled a low-resolution color video from its Curiosity rover that shows what travelers could see if they were riding along for the last couple of minutes of the craft's descent to Mars. The first aerial spraying of insecticides in the Dallas area since the 60s is set for this week. The proposed spraying comes after 10 deaths in the area from the West Nile virus. An official with the company hired to spray for mosquitoes in Dallas County says at least 2 planes will be in position by tomorrow night. Dallas last sprayed in 1966 for an encephalitis outbreak blamed for more than a dozen deaths. Oklahoma is reporting the state's first West Nile-related death of the year. The Oklahoma State Department of Health says there have been 55 cases of West Nile virus in 14 counties across the state. The department says the death occurred in Oklahoma County and that it was the first death due to the virus in the state since 2009. Dozens of residents in our area have been recognized in the 17th annual Texans Caring for Texas ceremony. The Tuesday ceremony acknowledged state employees who go above and beyond the call of duty. It was started in 1996 by former state representative David Swinford. Swinford's successor, For Price, joined fellow state representatives John Smithy and Warren Chisholm to help honor the recipients on their hard work.
I thought there was going to be rain last night.
Yeah. What happened to it?
It all was south.
Did Alan say there was going to be rain?
Well,
I'm just throwing that out there.
Maybe.
Did we miss something?
Good morning, Alan.
If it's true that every time it rains pennies from heaven, then perhaps the legislature might further consider using the rainy day fund to offset a projected $27 billion deficit, at least on this rainy day in Austin, the day House bills get their last chance. As it stands, the Senate is using more of it, and now it has to grapple with the House to pass a budget that will severely cut education and health care. All of our representatives here at the Capitol in Austin tell us pretty much the same thing, that when it came to grappling with the budget, it was the hardest thing, because basically they had to put the needs of teachers and healthcare professionals against the desires of taxpayers.
we want to put more money into public education, but the message that I got, and I do town hall meetings in 26 Texas counties, more if I'm invited, a very clear message from the taxpayers of Texas that they feel like they're already taxed to their capacity to pay, and they would like to hang on to some of their income.
And I believe that most of the House members obviously believe that raising taxes was not an option. They weren't voted into office to come down to Austin and raise taxes.
Legislators say because we're coming out of the worst recession since 1929, there were few options, considering a large part of the state budget is salary.
Most of the money that we spend as a state, I've heard estimates anywhere from 75 to 80%, go toward people, salaries. And so it's difficult to make meaningful budget reductions unless you actually reduce your workforce.
Legislators are quick to point out they won't be making specific cuts. They'll leave that to the individual districts.
The legislature never mandates that we fire a teacher or displace a teacher, but there is going to be cuts. I mean, they're going to operate with less money. They'll have to change their operation that they do right now.
One thing is clear, when the dust is finally washed away on this budget agreement, there will be fewer people looking to the state for a paycheck. Larry Lemmons, News Channel 10. Tucumcari is already known for being one of the more colorful stops along Route 66, but city officials want to draw tourists into the heart of the city. This is the Tucumcari train depot, and it has been officially unveiled. Although it was part of the kickoff to the state centennial next year, there's a bigger picture.
There's a huge rail fan population out there, and the research we did indicates that most railroad museums see annual traffic anywhere from 25 to 75,000 people. If we brought 25,000 people a year off the interstate this far into Tucumcari, they would spend some money.
State officials agree. The depot will become a draw and boost the Tucumcari economy.
Like all downtown Main Street programs, there has to be a catalyst to really kind of get the ball rolling, and the development of this depot is an important part of seeing that happen in Tucumcari.
So far, the city has taken advantage of federal and state grants to get to this point, but there's more work to do.
Somewhere between $3 and $4 million by the time we're done.
The depot is only the first project to revitalize the historic city.